I've just shot this Bianchi bike for 30 euros. I don't yet know what the model is. It's got some Shimano components on. We've got RX100 shifters, X100E XH derailleur and XH300 LX rear derailleur and XH X100E cranks. The previous owner told me that the chain and cassette needs to be replaced. It is terribly rusty, but I think we might be able to reuse those. Also, the owner reported that the saddle was stolen. It's gonna need some new bar tape. I hope we can clean up the hoods, and otherwise we'll need new hoods as well. Yeah, first step was cleaning. I have decided to take off the bar tape first, because that was the most sensible choice while I'm waiting for my noodles to stop cooking. I'm actually gonna reuse this bar tape, or I'll try to reuse the bar tape. It probably won't work and I'll end up buying new bar tape, but this is original tape and I want to get this bike ready to ride before waiting for parts. So I try washing this bar tape and putting it back on the bars. I have cleaned up the bike enough so that I don't get black hands whenever I touch it. It was mostly brake dust, I think, that was causing that. So now that it's clean, it's time for a visual inspection or a mechanical inspection. Let's flip this bike upside down to inspect the wheels. The front wheel has a bit of play in it. We'll need to adjust the bearings on this. Rear wheel hub still feels solid. Sounds rough though, so needs a cleaning. Front hub sounds good still. Let's continue with the front brake. Has a lot of lever pull, so we need to adjust the cable tension, but otherwise bike point feels good. It has good gripping power. Pads are worn unevenly, so we'll need to adjust the caliper position. That's no big deal. We can still use those pads for a while, not too long though. Rear wheel or rear brake. I can see from here that only one side of the brake is engaging when I start pulling. But the other side also moves, so this just needs adjustment, cleaning, lubrication. The top cap for the steer column is broken. This is just plastic flopping around, exposing the bearings. Bearings look slightly rusty. We'll need to get a new top cap. Bars look straight to me. Brake levers, those don't look good. I haven't tried cleaning them too much yet. We might need new hoods for those, but the levers still feel good. This pedal is loose. This pedal is slightly loose, so loose as in the bearings are loose. they'll go and we'll find new pedals for this bike, but not a high priority because these still work, and I'm living in a high bike theft area, so I'm not trying to get a perfect bike out of this. I have noticed, unfortunately, the free hub or free wheel isn't engaging, so we need either a new free hub free wheel or an entirely new rear wheel, whichever is cheapest. Bottom bracket still feels firm, no play in there. It's hard to tell whether it's running smoothly with the rear wheel like that. Let's flip the bike upside down, see if shifting is working. Let's try the rear first. It's pretty hard to pull. Needs lubrication. I'm afraid I'll shift into the sprockets if I continue. No, this is actually the end, so limit is good, but it isn't shifting very well. I can't get into the highest gear, the hardest gear, and the gears in between. I can reach some of them, but it's really hard to pull this lever. It's out of alignment. The derailleur hanger is integrated into the frame. It's not obviously bent, so I first try cleaning the derailleur hanger, fitting new cables, getting it lubricated, see if that fixes it. We have interesting frame damage over here. Now let's try the front derailleur then. First get the rear into a working gear. Right front is not indexed from what it feels like. Chainring is nice chrome colored. I think we're missing a few teeth. Yeah, the chainring is missing a few teeth. Well, those might actually be purposely left off for better shifting. So front friction shifter feels good. Friction shifters can't be out of alignment. Wheels are straight also, I've already checked those. Rear brake, we've talked about that. The seat tube is stuck to the frame. I haven't tried using tools to get it out yet. Also already sprayed it with a bit of WD-40, but it hasn't had any effect yet. So I'll get it lubricated some more and then try getting a pipe wrench onto it. See if I can get the seat tube out. Off goes the cassette. We've got a Hyperglide hub, that's nice. It's gonna make it easy to replace the cassette. Unfortunately this hub is shot, and Hyperglide hubs, at least the ones I know, aren't really serviceable. But let's see how far I can take this apart. I suppose it just needs a bit of cleaning and oil, so the prongs go back into where they latch. I gave the free hub a few rapid spins with fast acceleration and it made it come back to life, so now it's engaging again. But I suppose it's going to be temporary and it's going to get gummy and stuck up again and spin freely in both directions. I've taken it off the wheel and I don't have the tool to take it apart any further than this. So what I'm going to do is flush it with brake cleaner and then drip fresh oil into it in hopes that it will get onto the springs. The free hub is back on the rear wheel. It sounds nice and we've got an engagement again. And it's just flushing it with brake cleaner and letting oil flow into the free hub body. Seems to have done a good job. I've also cleaned up the cassette. The cassette is unfortunately not chrome plated, so it's gonna look black. It seems like the rear cock or largest cock has been replaced at some point or just never used, because it's still shiny. All the other cocks are black, unfortunately. I have done a few steps off camera. Namely, I have taken off, cleaned and lubricated the rear derailleur, so it's nice and shiny from the outside now. As shiny as it's going to be, I might polish some parts later on, but for now I'm just gonna reassemble them. Rear wheel is back in one piece and working. I have taken off the cranks and started cleaning them. I have cleaned the chain rings so far and the cranks. I still need to clean the little bolts that hold the chain rings to the cranks. And then I'll put that back together, get that back on the bike. I was looking forward to polishing the seat post because it's been scratched up before. Unfortunately, it's well stuck to the frame. I first tried getting it out by just putting a saddle on, wiggling on it, pouring WD-40 into it. That didn't have any effect. I tried hammering onto the sides to wiggle it loose. Didn't work either, so I took it to the bike shop. Held a 1 meter pipe wrench to it, didn't do anything either. Flushed it with rust dissolver, clamped it in a vise upside down, nothing. I have now let it sit overnight with rust dissolver in here, so if I get the chance to go to the bike store again today, I'll do that and see if the rust dissolver has done its job. While I was waiting for the rust dissolver for the seat posts, I tried taking out the bottom bracket. It's plastic one side that went out easily. The other side is stuck as well. Also let rust dissolver flow into there, but didn't have any effect. So the bottom bracket is going to stay in there until it breaks and I need to remove it. Then I'll have to find some other way. While I was waiting for the rust dissolver in the bottom bracket, I decided to work on the headset, which had a broken top cap here, a white plastic top cap. Stem was well stuck in the fork. Took a good 30 minutes of wrestling with it to get it out, but managed to do so in the end. The stem is cracked where the wedge touches the stem. I don't know how bad that is. I haven't ridden these stems a lot, so I just try to see how it feels, if anything feels loose while riding. Otherwise I'll keep the stem because it's a nice rectangular stem and I like that. There were no spare plastic caps in the bike shop, and also we have a plastic cup down here. So I'll probably end up replacing the entire headset, hammer out these headset cups and fit new metal headset cups into there. So next step is gonna be reassembling the cranks. These are the close the sink. These are the small bolts and washers from the cranks. I've let them sit in WD-40 overnight just to get the grease off. So I'll wash them with the soap now. Perhaps sand some of the screws, but I think they look alright. And then get them back on the cranks. For drying, I'm using this little plastic dish, which was a food container at one point, with holes drilled into it. Works really well for drying off small parts in the sun. The crankset is back in one piece. It's nice and clean now. Not as nice and shiny as a new set, but it's good enough for this bike. There's a bit of damage to the largest cog. I suppose the chain was had fallen off and then worn into the chainring from the side. The cranks themselves are pretty scratched up. I'm not going to bother polishing them yet. I'll just get them back on the bike, get riding, and then at one point perhaps I'll polish them. The chainrings are made of steel or stainless steel, but magnetic, whatever. They are really heavy. The entire bike is very heavy. I think it's the heaviest bike I own. I might do a 1x conversion at some point, 1x or 2x, but first I want to see how it rides in the original configuration. I don't have a scale to tell you how heavy this is, so let's just put it on the human scale. Heavy. There we have it. It's a heavy chainring setup. While I was waiting for the bolts to dry, I've already taken off the front derailleur, cleaned the frame in that area. Front derailleur has nice chrome on the outside still. On the inside we have some worn off rusty spots. I'll see if I can brush them off with a dish brush, and I'll get this. Might need to do some polishing here as well. Then I get this oiled and back on the frame. I've also brushed off the clamp of the front derailleur. That cleaned up nicely. Just used one of those kitchen dish sponges. And the interior of the derailleur cage, I tried the same, but that's gonna stay rusty. I don't know what to do about that without removing too much of the chrome around it. And this part of the derailleur is also pretty crusty, but the motion still feels good. There's no crunchiness or anything. Really strong spring, so I'm gonna keep that as is. I can't disassemble this either. This is riveted. So let's put it back on the frame. I had forgotten about the screws of the front derailleur, which I was still soaking to clean them up. They are rusty. I don't like the look, so I'm gonna sand off the heads of these screws. And the little one on the inside, I'm gonna keep it as is. This is too fiddly to clean up. Also the nut and the cable holder. Well, the cable holder I might give a few scrubs. But the screws I'm gonna clean up by just clamping them down in a battery drill, and then I'll take some 1500 grit sandpaper and run it over the head of the screw. looks like 1500 is not enough for this screw. I'm gonna get some rougher sandpaper first. There's some pitting on this screw that's not gonna come off. I suppose it's too deep, so just keep it this way. Give it another run with 1500 grit to get a more mirror-like finish, and then use it. Use the screw. There we go. That's gonna be the new screw. If it was black before, I'd paint it with nail polish now. The way it is, it's probably gonna rust again, but I'll see how it works out. The screw of the cable holder also cleaned up nicely. Still some pitting on here as well, but I'm not gonna bother grinding away a lot of the screw head just to get it shiny. I just gave it one run with sandpaper, and it looks good enough to me. The cranks and the front derailleur are back on the bike. I haven't set up the front derailleur yet. Looks like I need to move it up a bit or to rotate it. Yeah, but we can pedal. Rear derailleur is grinding because we're in an impossible gear, diagonal. I'll fit the shift. Oh no, I was going to say I'd fit the cables next, shift cables next. But I'd like to service the shifters first. So I'll service the shifters, fit new cables, and then adjust the front derailleur. I just took out the chain guide on the bottom of the frame, on the bottom bracket. And apparently there's no drainage hole. There's just a screw hole for the chain guide, or for the cable guide. And that kept a whole lot of rust dissolver in there, which just messed up my floor. But now it's off. I'm going to clean the chain guide. I've got fresh cables here, and then I'll set up the shifters. As to the shifters, I realized I don't know how to take them apart, so I just took them off, gave them a cleaning from the outside, and put them back on. I fitted new shift cables. I still need to adjust the front derailleur. It's rubbing on the chainring. I intended to download the manual for that, but I forgot, so I'll do that later. And rear derailleur is set up. Indexing is working, shifts all gears, wonderful. So just the front derailleur left, and then shifting should be working. I just returned from the bike shop. Seat post is still stuck in the frame. I sprayed it with some more rust dissolver, and I'm gonna wait until this evening or tomorrow and give it another shot with the vise. I was at the bike shop again, and I've made progress with the seat post. It's a little shorter now, but I haven't gotten it out. I've poured more rust dissolver into the frame. It is moving. There are no permanent movements. It's just wiggling back and forth, twisting in itself, or acting like a tension spring. I'll let it sit for a couple more days or hours, let's see, with the rust dissolver in there, and then clamp it down in the vise again, give it a few more twists and hope that the seat post will come out, because I really don't want to drill into this frame. At the bike shop I've picked up a couple new things. I've got white brake cables, others. I wanted to get silver again, but we only have white and black in the bike shops. So I'll fit white hoses, and perhaps at some point I'll get silver ones. But I suppose once I have working hoses on there, I won't have the motivation to change them up again. I've also gotten a new headset cap. Black, unfortunately, that was the only one we had. But it's gonna replace the bearing race that's on there currently, so we have a sealed top cap again. I'll keep the white one down below because it's still working. And I've got 2 tiny screws for the dropouts. We're missing 1 screw here, and the other side is rusty, so I'm gonna take this out. I'll take this screw out and add 2 new silver screws to the back. Oh, and I've just realized the brake cables that I have, I think I've picked up flat bar brake cables, so I might need new cables that go with drop bar brakes. I can't see where the cables are in here. Well, I'll figure that out and see if I can use the cables I have, or I'll pick up new cables. The shift cables are shortened. The radio is set up. I have downloaded the manual and deleted it before reading it, so I just did it by feel. All front chainrings are working now. Rear is working. Rear is shortened as well. Got some silver end caps. Then I took out the fork. Headset caps are cleaned. I'm waiting for the bearings and top parts to dry off. Fork, I've got a tiny bit of rust in here, but look how nice the paint is. Makes me hopeful for cleaning the outside. Might try polishing the fork a bit, because this looks really nice, this paint. The fork and the assembly parts are now all cleaned and dry. But before reassembling the fork, I'm going to take off the stem of the handlebars to clean the stem and brush it up a bit, because it's got some small dents and imperfections on there. So I'll take off the front brake and also start soaking the handle already to see if the hood cleans up. The stem is out and cleaned up. I didn't get out as many scratches as I hoped I could. I used the dish sponge again. I might use power tools and polish at some point to get out the rest of the scratches, at least the surface scratches that I've added now with the dish sponge. The cracks are apparent now. We've got 1 crack on either side. It could be that I caused them while wrangling out the stem. Next time I'm removing a stem, I'll take out the screw entirely so that the plug is loose from the stem, and I can remove each part individually. The stem screw isn't looking too pretty in the top, so I'm gonna clamp it down in the battery drill as I did before and clean up the head of the screw, at least the top surface, which is visible from the outside. Apart from the pitting, the screw is looking nice and shiny again. I'm not going to clean the inside because I don't know how to. So I guess now it's time for fork reinstallation. The fork and stem are back on the bike. I fitted a new dust cover. It's black, unfortunately. I don't like the look of having a black dust cover up top and white down below. I prefer both to be white. I won't bleach it. I said perhaps I'd bleach it before, but I'm not going to bleach it. I don't think it's going to work too well. I'll wait until I come across a white dust cover and then I will replace it. I have taken off the bar and cleaned up the brakes. The hoods cleaned up well. They're still black on top. I couldn't get that off. I used WD-40 and soap, and most of the grime came off almost on its own. The left hood cleaned up a little better than the right one. And I've also used a dish sponge to remove surface scratches of the brake levers and then polish them with toothpaste. Next up are the handlebars. We have nice Italy logos on here that are well scratched up. I don't think we're going to be able to save those to a meaningful amount, but I'll try. We've got lots of bar tape glue residue on here. I'll try using vegetable oil, and if that doesn't do the trick, I'll use WD-40. WD-40 has worked best for me in the past, but I need a lot of WD-40 to clean off bars, and vegetable oil is cheaper. The handlebars are back on the bike temporarily, or just, I don't know how temporarily, because this clamp is really strong even without a screw in it. And I don't know if I can adjust the handlebar position with this plastic spacer inserted. So, well, no, they can stay on permanently, but I might need to take out the screw and spacer again to adjust them later. I'm gonna do that once the bike is fully built and when the seat post is removed, because I'm not gonna do any investments on this bike as long as the seat post is in there, because it could be that this frame is totaled. Next up, I'm gonna work on the front wheel. So get the bearings out, get it cleaned up. Bearings back in, greased. That's the paint. And then get the wheel back in the fork. And then the only thing left to do are the brake cables and the brakes themselves. I've kept the brakes for last because I think these are gonna clean up really nicely and give the bike a way better look. When the brake's off, or when the rear brake is off, the front I've already taken off. I'm also going to clean up the frame. Take out this cable as well. Clean up the frame. I'm not going to do any painting. I'd like to get it waxed. I'll see if we have a wax in the bike shop. Yeah, and then we're done. Except for the seat post. Bearings out, and one of the dust caps came out as well. The other dust cap is staying in there. I tried prying it out, but I can feel movement without the dust cap moving, so I'm actually bending it, and I did that to the rear wheel, and I had to bend it back afterwards, so I'm gonna stop trying taking off this dust cap, keep it in there and clean up the bearing case as good as I can with the dust cap installed. I have cleaned and greased and reinstalled the bearings and the front wheel. I've also cleaned the rim. The bearings I couldn't get to run smoothly. They don't feel good. I don't know if the bearings are bad or it's my inability to properly adjust the cones with loose bearings in there, but it don't run smoothly. I don't know if they are tight now or loose because it changed after closing the cups. So I'm just gonna keep it that way. The seat tube is out, or the seat post is out. On the last bike I did this, it was about a 2-hour session of sweating. This time it was 5 hours. The frame did not go away unscathed. We have dents in here, the paint has come off. The seat tube is out, seat post is out all the way. There's nothing left of it. And over on the drive side, oh, massive hole in the frame. So what I did to get the seat post out, first I tried again clamping the seat tube in the seat post in the vise, twisting the frame, didn't do anything, and the seat post was broken off at the top. So next I drilled a hole horizontally through the seat post, stuck an 8mm Allen key through it, clamped it down in the vise again to get better leverage. Didn't do anything. Then I used a long pipe, put that over the Allen key and tried twisting, but all I did was twist the Allen key and I didn't want to break it, so I stopped. Then I think I gave up on twisting it and I just sawed off the seat post right above the frame and went on to drill the frame. So just drill straight down into the seat tube to remove everything off the seat post in little fragments. It started out working okay. So I have 4 drills in different sizes. Yeah, first one worked okay. Then when I got to drilling a 25mm hole, I noticed that the frame was discoloring, or the paint was discoloring from the heat. So I hung a rag over the frame, a water-soaked rag, to help cool it down. When the largest drill got stuck multiple times, I took off the rag and noticed that I had drilled through the frame, which sucks. Yeah, so I had drilled through the frame. I was expecting the steel frame to guide the drill through the aluminum post, because the aluminum post is softer than the steel, and it worked well for the last bike. It just went down the center. This time, I don't know why, but the drill chose steel over aluminum, and I have a hole in my frame now. I still had lots of seat post left at that point, and I also had a bit of seat post above the frame. I had left about 1 centimeter originally, and it was still there on one side at least. So next thing I tried was using a long saw blade, sawing straight along the seat post to divide it into 3 pieces. So 3 circular segments, and then my plan was to hammer out each segment with a screwdriver, running a screwdriver between the post and the frame, down along the seat tube, and take out the 3 pieces of the tube that way. I sawed for over an hour, didn't get the single cut done. So next I took a screwdriver, tried hammering down through the seat post in hopes of cutting through the aluminum with a flathead screwdriver. Didn't work. and I saw, oh no, now everything is crumpled up in there. But when I took a closer look, I noticed everything has slid down. So the seat post actually moved in there, which was a really nice sign. So now I have a seat post that is free to move but stuck in the frame. And at that point I was below the frame, so there was nothing of the seat post left above. I just had a seat post in the frame that was moving, but I had no way of gripping onto it. So what I did is, through the hole in the frame, I drilled a hole through the seat post and stuck a brake cable through that hole. And first I tried just pulling on it. I had the brake cable wound around a threaded rod. But when I pulled on it, I just bent the rod. So that was not the way forward. Then I walked around the shop looking for tools that I could possibly use to get more tension on the brake cable. Didn't find anything. I took another threaded rod that had washers and nuts on it. Tried building a contraption to pull the string out by tensioning on the frame. But I tried clamping the nut that was in the frame between the residues of the seat post and the brake cable, but it just slipped and slipped, so it didn't work either. And then at some point, out of frustration and desperation, I just gave the brake cable a big pull, rapid pull, and to my surprise the seat post actually moved. So what I did for the next hour or so was just standing above the frame, whacking on that brake cable, hoping it won't tear, and the seat post came up little by little, but at some point it just stopped, wouldn't come up anymore. So again I walked around the shop looking for other tools, thinking about using those threaded rods to create tension somehow. Nothing. So I used a hammer, hammered the seat post back into the frame, tugged on the brake cable, hammered it in, tugged on the brake cable, hammered it in, tugged on the brake cable, and eventually the seat post came out. It was about 5 hours after starting that session. So what we have now is a bent or dented seat tube with a massive hole in it. I doubt it's properly round. I'll see about that when I try fitting a new seat post in there. I don't think the hole is going to be a structural issue once we have a new seat post in there. We have this hole which is well visible, but then also around the hole, so to the sides and above, the metal is ultra thin, because that's where the drill was. So I'm guessing we have about half the circumference of the seat post left that is structurally sound. But I think with the long seat tube in here, it goes about down here. It should be structurally safe, but it doesn't look pretty. What I'm going to do is grind off the edges of the hole, because it's just what the drill left over. So we have nicer edges. Then I'll try using a piece of an aluminum can, holding it over here, and then put a sticker over it. That's just to visually conceal the hole. It won't be pretty, but prettier than the hole, I suppose. Oh, and at some point I had to bike upside down on the table and hammer it, I don't know where, and one of the cable guides came loose. These are supposed to be fully closed loops, and this one cracked. I hope the cable will run through there anyway and not flop around. If it does, I might need a zip tie around here, which will be super disgusting. Or I'll try welding or soldering a new loop around here to guide the cable. While working on the seat post, I guess can use lots of lubricant, and then in the end I had, of course, the frame was filled with aluminum shavings, so I flushed them out with water, and again I noticed that everything I put in there came out in the back here. So it was flowing down the seat tube, flowing along the chainstay, and then out the drainage hole back there. And when I undid the screw for the cable guide down here, I had lots of water coming out again. So what I'm gonna do down here is drill a drainage hole. Without a drainage hole, if we get any fluids in there, it's gonna start rusting. I have polished the frame, polished and waxed. And what I'm gonna do next is work on the hole in the frame. I'm gonna use 2 files. I think the hole actually matches this this piece quite nicely, so I'm just gonna file off the edges and keep it exposed, and I think it's gonna look good with a silver seat post in there. I'm done filing off the hole in the frame. I didn't get out all the tiny cracks, there are some small cracks left in there. I've rounded off the corners so that I won't get any tears in the frame. And to avoid shavings falling down into the frame, I've stuck a zip tie with a kitchen towel wound around it down the frame before starting, so that caught all the metal shavings. What I also did was get a seat post, or assemble a seat post. We didn't have a 27.2mm seat post in the shop, so I took a 25.4 with a matching shim and this clamp thing. Eventually I want to get a seat post with the twisting top, like I've got on this bike, in silver. It's also going to improve structural support when the seat post goes all the way to the frame, because this one has like 1.8mm of play in the frame other than where the shim is. I've drilled a new 3.5mm hole for drainage and sprayed it with long-lasting oil. I'm also going to spray the entire seat tube with the same stuff. I noticed that the screw of the chain guide isn't catching any thread. This is a self-tapping screw, so I guess the thread in the frame is just used up. I'm going to keep it in there to see how long it lasts before I drop it. I've cleaned up the brakes. They didn't turn out as nice as I wanted them to. I have a matte look now. They were matte before as well. I was hoping for more shine on these brakes, so I might end up polishing them, but not now. I want to get this bike on the road. So the hole has nice clean edges now, or as nice as they're gonna be. I think it suits the bike well, having a bit of shine in the seat post there, in the seat tube. Oh, and the chain is well stretched. I'm gonna replace the chain. The rear brake, I noticed when reassembling, was missing a plastic bushing in the center. The brake now is super loose on the bike. Oh, not on the bike. The brake bolt is solid, but the brake arms, they are super loose. For the front, the plastic spacer was there, but rear it's missing and now it's loose. And I suppose it's a proprietary part of these brakes. But I'm gonna see when I'm in the shop next time if we have some old brakes that are falling apart laying around. and see if they have this plastic bushing inside that I could take, because I doubt this is gonna feel good on the levers. First points I dislike about this bike coming up: the tension adjustment screws on the brakes. They don't take brake outers, so I have the bare cable in there. That's probably gonna rust, and it doesn't feel good when adjusting the screw. Feels crunchy. Then the screws I have sanded off. This one was collecting dust already, not dust, it was collecting rust already, and the bike was only stored indoors. So I'm gonna need to apply oil to the bolts that I have sanded off. And the brake cables I used on this bike, they frail super easily. You can see up here the cable is frailing, and also I noticed while cutting the cables, they are frailing. I'm used to the cables staying together when I cut them, so these might not be the highest quality brake cables. Next thing, cut the loose brake cable in the rear and then take it for a test ride. Back from the first test ride. The bike rides nicely, shifts good. A few things I've noticed: the handlebars are slightly right, I'll turn them left. Brakes feel great. I adjusted the tension on the rear wheel. There was too much lever throw. I just found the best feature of these brakes. So I wanted to adjust the positioning of the brake levers, for which I need to access the screw in here. So I'd need to pull the brake. You can actually see a bit of the screw in there, probably too dark on camera. But I can't pull the brake hard enough because it's adjusted. So I wanted to take out the wheel in order not to have to mess with the adjustment afterwards. But I can't take out the wheel because the brakes are too close to the tire. So there's this little button on the levers, which when pulled, the levers will go back in the opposite direction that they usually go. And now the brakes are opened up enough so that I can take out the front wheel. Isn't that amazing? Is this something people do? Stitching bar tape? I tore in two places that were overlapping, and I tried gluing it with sticky tape. Didn't work, so now I tried stitching it back together. Let's see if that goes back on the bars. I tell you what, it won't win the beauty contest, but we've got bar tape. This is the side that tore while taking off the bar tape, so it wound up to up here. And then the other side tore while putting it on, but I stitched it. It held on the second go, and then we've got bar tape in both amounts on both sides, equal amounts on both sides. That leaves the cables exposed, and I only had black electrical tape. I'm gonna see when I can buy white tape, and then I'll replace the black tape with white tape. Should look less like a botched job. Yeah, but this is I am content. I can ride this bike with these looks. We've got enough bad parts not to have to worry about a bit of electrical tape on the bars. Oh, and I replaced the chain. Nice silver chain now. A rusty cassette, unfortunately, but we've got a silver cassette, a silver chain ring, silver derailleur. Beauty. I have switched out the cassette because the chain was skipping over cogs on the old cassette. And I'll have a silver cassette. It's a used one, but it's looking good still. New issue is that the indexing
seems to be off. But it doesn't really feel like indexing being off, it feels more like a bent derailleur hanger. Or bent derailleur, I don't know. So I'll have a look at that now. It is not the indexing or the wire tension that's causing the problem, because I have bad shifts in both directions. So next I'm gonna try to adjust the B screw. I will need to have a look at the manual because I haven't done that in a while. I was about to adjust the B screw, but I noticed that the derailleur is sticky, so it isn't always in the same position. I'll have to service this derailleur. I was about done with this bike. I've been riding it for a couple of days already. I thought I was done. No, just indexing being off, but no time to service the derailleur. I'm done servicing the original derailleur, but I can't put it back in because apparently I have stripped the threads, or bent the threads at least. And what I'm going to do is take the B axle and run it through from the other side where the threads are still good, so that the broken threads in the start over here get bent back into place. Everything back together. Still not shifting great. I have issues going to and from the smallest sprocket. I don't know what it is. The stickiness still is the same as before cleaning the derailleur. I've adjusted the B screw slightly, but didn't seem to make an effect. So I'm gonna call it there. Keep it this way. Oh, I need to put the cable end back on, don't forget about that. Yeah, call it here. I'm gonna ride like this and do small adjustments as I go. At this point I wish I had a friction shifter in the rear as well, because wouldn't have to mess with indexing. Yeah, so that wraps up the project. I spent 30 euros on the bike originally, then about another 30 euros on parts so far. So that's 60 euros for this bike. I think that's a decent price when I finish up. So replacing the seat post, bar tape and brake pads will probably still be below 100 euros for this bike, which is a great price. Yeah, next up is gonna be a city mountain bike or a trials bike. I'll see how that goes.